All right, let's just jump right in. Because if you're even remotely involved in finance or tech, you're going to want to hear this. We're not talking about some minor update here, not just a new feature. No, we are looking at a massive, seismic shift, a total transformation. And it's all being driven by a brand new kind of AI.
And when I say massive, I mean staggering. Look at this number, $1 trillion. That's the potential annual savings global banks are looking at by 2030. We're talking about everything from ridiculously efficient operations to fraud detection that's smarter than ever before. And it's all thanks to this new tech. I mean, a number that big, you just have to ask, what on earth is happening?
And look, this isn't some pie-in-the-sky futuristic idea. The money is flowing right now. In 2024 alone, check this out. The financial sector is pumping more than $45 billion into AI. To put that in perspective, that's almost 18% of all corporate AI spending on the entire planet. So yeah, the big players, the ones with the most skin in the game, they are taking this incredibly seriously. The race has already started.
So you gotta ask, why is this all happening right now? I mean, you don't see this kind of massive, urgent investment unless something big is going on under the surface. And it turns out we're smack in the middle of a perfect storm. It's all thanks to three key things that came together at just the right time. Okay, so first up, a total tsunami of data. We're talking financial markets churning out over 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every single day. No human team, I don't care how big, can possibly keep up with that. Second, we finally have the raw computing power to make sense of all that data in real time. And third, and this one is a real game changer, the regulators are actually on board. They're starting to embrace AI as a serious tool for compliance and managing risk. So the gates aren't just open, they're helping build the highway through them. So these three things created the perfect breeding ground for this new tech to just explode onto the scene. And this gets to the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. It's the huge leap from the kind of AI we're all used to something brand new called Agentic AI. So think about the generative AI you've probably messed around with, right? It's amazing stuff, don't get me wrong. But it's reactive. It's all about request and response. You give it a prompt, you tell it, hey, write this email for me. It does that one thing. And then it just stops. It sits there waiting for your next command. It's a super powerful tool, for sure. But it's basically on a leash, tethered to a person. Agentic AI, though, that's a whole different ballgame. It's autonomous. You don't give it a specific little prompt. Instead, you give it a big, high-level goal. Something like, maximize the alpha in this portfolio. And the agent takes it from there. It breaks that goal down into smaller tasks. It figures out what tools it needs, and it just keeps making decisions and working on it, continuously, until the whole mission is done. All without you having to step back in. So you see the massive difference, right? One is basically a tool that's just waiting for you to tell it what to do. The other is a system that actively goes after a goal. This is so important to get. It's not just a faster, better version of the old AI. It is a completely different kind of capability. And, there's this quote that just nails it. It goes something like this. If generative AI is my research assistant who writes a report when I ask, Agentic AI is the system that spots an anomaly, executes trades, files the paperwork, and audits itself, all before I've even had my morning coffee. See? A research assistant is great, very useful. But that other thing, that's not an assistant. That's a whole other universe of what's possible. Okay, so now think about the implications here. When you have systems that can operate on their own like this, it doesn't just change a few workflows. It completely flips the entire economic model on its head. All of a sudden, the AIs themselves become the main customers for data. Think about how we've consumed data over the years. For decades, we bought it as a product, like a static printed report. Then that evolved into data as a service, a subscription feed you could tap into. But here's the thing. These new autonomous agents, they don't really need raw data. They need continuous, actionable intelligence. And that has given rise to this whole new category, Decision Intelligence as a Service, or DIAS. It's basically Intel packaged specifically for these new AI customers. And believe me, the demand for this stuff is just exploding. I mean, the market for decision intelligence is on track to hit $88 billion by 2034. That tells you everything you need to know. The hunger isn't for more raw data, it's for these pre-packaged, machine-ready decisions. Okay, so we've got these autonomous agents, and they're consuming decisions as a service. Makes sense. But for this whole thing to actually work at scale, they've got to be able to talk to each other across different companies, different networks. And that means you need a completely new kind of infrastructure to make it happen. Right now, it looks like there are two main ways they're going to do this. Two communication protocols that are bubbling to the top. The first one, ACP. You can think of it like a quick text message between agents. It's fast, it's simple, it gets the job done and forgets about it. The other one, A2A, is more like a shared project board, something like a Trello board. It's built for more complex back and forths where the agents need to remember the history of the conversation. But all this communication brings up a huge, critical question. In a world where literal trillions of dollars are being moved around by bits of code talking to each other, how do you build trust? How does an agent from my bank know that the agent from another firm is legit? Because without that trust, the whole thing descends into chaos. And that is exactly where something like Project Nanda comes into the picture. People are pitching it as a DNS for agents. Think of it like the internet's phone book, but for AIs. It's this core verification layer that lets one agent find another one and, crucially, cryptographically prove its identity. This is the bedrock, the foundation you need to build a secure, scalable economy of agents. And let me be clear, that security is absolutely non-negotiable. Because an army of autonomous, decision-making agents with the keys to financial systems, well, that's a brand new, absolutely massive target for attackers. The threats here aren't just about hacking a network anymore, they're behavioral. You're dealing with all new kinds of attacks. Things like prompt injection, which is basically tricking an agent into doing something it shouldn't. Or capability spoofing, where one agent literally lies about what it's allowed to do. Your standard old-school firewall, it's completely useless against that kind of thing. It's like trying to stop a ghost with a chain-link fence. So this new reality demands a whole new security model, one designed for machines to trust each other. It's called Zero Trust for Agent Access, or ZTAA. See, a normal firewall asks a simple question: is this device on my trusted list? ZTAA asks a much tougher set of questions. Is this specific agent allowed to do this specific action for this one subtask right this second? It's an unbelievably high security bar to clear every single time. And the way you do that is with three key pillars. First, you need a complete, mandatory audit trail of every single thing these agents say to each other. Everything gets logged. Second, you use that cryptographic verification we talked about, basically digital passports for every agent. And third, when an agent gets access to do something, it's with a temporary one-time use token that gives it the absolute bare minimum permission it needs to do its job. And as soon as it's done, poof, that access is gone. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. If you're running a company and you want to actually get ready for this future, what does the roadmap look like? Well, it's not just one thing. You've got to move forward on three fronts at the same time. First, you have to modernize your tech. We're talking about getting away from old school databases and moving to modern APIs and streaming data that these agents can actually plug into and use. Second, your whole business model has to change. You have to ask yourself, are we selling raw data feeds or are we selling guaranteed outcomes? And third, and this is always the toughest one, you have to transform your people and your culture. That means serious training in AI safety and building safe sandboxes where your teams can experiment and innovate without, blowing up the whole system. So, when you boil it all down, the main takeaway is this. The future of finance isn't just about being faster. It's about being fundamentally different. It's a future of continuous, autonomous decisions being made at millisecond speeds, and the whole thing has to be built on a brand new foundation of machine-to-machine trust and security. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. These autonomous agents, they're coming. That's not really up for debate anymore. So the only real question left is, what's your role going to be in this new world? Are you going to be the one designing them, competing against them, or maybe ultimately being managed by them?